Hello and welcome back to another Royal Reviewer transmission. Today is the 22nd of May 2022 and let's just get straight into a whole slew of royal stories. I've been away for a few days and there are some things that I want to catch up on. I am of course wearing a green velour jacket, the Canadian maple leaf brooch and the Spencer family tiara today. Right, first story of the day. I want to talk about my favourite film, definitely my favorite Disney film, but the film that I have watched the most ever. I had the video VHS cassette probably in about 1989, and I watched it and watched it and watched it over and over again. I could tell you the words word for word. Of course, I'm talking about The Little Mermaid, and there has been some royal controversy linked to The Little Mermaid remake. It's a live action remake. I can't wait for it. Halle Bailey looks absolutely incredible. King Triton is a bit of a daddy. I'm going to give King Triton a red hot fan flap. I think he'll be setting a few fishtails racing. Anyway, so I'm really looking forward to it. I will be there on the day of release to see it. But there's been some controversy. Now, going back to the original Little Mermaid Disney, there's a scene during Kiss the Girl. Now's your moment, floating in the blue lagoon. Boy, you better do it soon. No time will be better. Yeah. You don't know why, but you're dying to try. You wanna kiss the girl. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. When they're in there and Eric is leaning in and he's asking Ariel what her name is, because of course the sea witch has stolen her voice. He goes through a few names. Now, in the original, he goes through Mildred, and she pulls her face. And then Diana, of course, a royal name. And then Rachel, all of which Ariel screws up her face before eventually he gets it right and says Ariel. So, of course, Rachel is the first name of Meghan, actually. It's Rachel Meghan, of course. So two royal names. But in the remake, I think Rachel has been removed, or no one's actually seen it, but someone's been to an early screening of it and has reported it. So I will reserve judgment entirely until I've actually seen it myself. So the names that we know that have been said, that have been mentioned, are Diana, again, she pulls her face, and Catherine. I mean, I'm just saying, I think we need a black fan here. Is there some shade being casted by Disney? So, did they remove Rachel, Meghan's name, and replace it with Catherine as an apparent dig? Apparently, Meghan knows somebody high up in Disney who has been involved in the film. Not sure if that's true or not, but it could have been a little bit of a dig. Some people are interpreting it as a dig at Catherine. And of course, they've left Diana still in there. So, two very royal names. Now, there's two ways of thinking about this. It's either that it's a dig at Catherine, or it's that they are celebrating Catherine as, well, they wouldn't have known at the time that she would be Princess of Wales now when it's being released, but they would have known that in time she would have been Princess of Wales. So is it honouring Catherine or is it dissing her? I don't know. Is it a friend of Meghan's, pulling some strings to sort of go and screw the face up? If it was a dig at Catherine, it would be quite a low blow. And yeah, I don't think it would look very good on Meghan if it came out that she did have any influence over that. But ultimately, we are talking about a Disney movie. It's Little Mermaid, and I think it just should be out there for everyone to go and enjoy, which I will be doing very soon. Right, my next story is a continuation of this ongoing Harry and Meghan, catastrophic chase, New York drama after the awards ceremony. It's just overshadowed the whole thing. I mean, if it was sort of a ploy or a setup by Harry and Meghan to get more press attention or to sort of feather the nest with regards to the protection lawsuits that are going on in the UK, to sort of bolster that, I think it's completely backfired, because a lot of people are, criticising. Even in America, the American media has picked up on the discrepancies in between what Harry and Meghan are saying and what people actually involved in the car chase actually have come out and said. Plus, obviously, there is the police statement, which pertains to have there been no arrests or anything illegal sort of didn't take place or not illegal enough for there to be an arrest. And it's overshadowed the main event, which was of course Meghan picking up that award. So it's backfired, and they kicked them. They don't know when to stop, do they? Because they kicked themselves even further by demanding backgrid. Now, it wasn't blackgrid; it's backgrid. I read two different articles previously where it said one of them called it blackgrid, one of them called it backgrid. It's backgrid, the photo agency, the one that always seems to be getting the pictures of Harry and Meghan when they're out being papped, tipped off, not. Anyway, Backgrid has dismissed claims and defended its photographers, the freelancers, and they felt the couple was not in immediate danger at any point. So the photo agency said that legal representatives of the Sussexes on Thursday had sent a letter demanding copies of the photos and video taken on Tuesday, and that was according to BBC News. We hereby, this is what they reportedly said, we hereby demand that Backgrid immediately, that is very demanding, provide us with copies of all photos, videos and or films taken last night by the freelance photographers after the couple left their event over the next several hours, the letter read. Wow. I mean, certainly I don't think you can demand footage of yourself. I think if you're in a public place, i.e. on a street, even if you're in a private car, you are fair game, I do believe, in most countries regarding the law of people being able to take videos and photographs in a public space. So I don't think by demanding that Backgrid provide them is going to do it. And also, what are they going to use it for? Are they going to use the footage in any upcoming Netflix documentary or anything? In which case, the photographers would have the copyright on it because they took it. Obviously, Meghan knows all about the copyright because she knows that she has the copyright of any letters sent. So any footage taken by anyone else would be copyrighted. So if they used it for anything, they would have to pay. Also, Backgrid are not giving in. They know their rights. And they said Backgrid had evoked in its snarky rejection of the request, Backgrid evoked the American Revolutionary War. In America, they say, as I'm sure you know, property belongs to the owner of it. Third parties cannot just demand it be given to them, or perhaps kings can do. Well, no. To be honest, even in the UK, let's not get it twisted, the monarchy cannot demand that footage is given of them. Anyway, the agency wrote, according to BBC News, perhaps you should sit down with your client and advise them that his English rules of royal prerogative to demand that this citizenry hand over the property to the Crown were rejected by this country long ago. The agency continued, we stand by our founding fathers. A spokesperson for the Sussexes and Backgrid did not immediately respond to requests for comment from the Times. Wow. Well, first of all, like I say, let's not get it twisted. In today's world, the Crown cannot just demand things. So I think they were just using that as a dig, I think, at obviously Harry's sort of royal position and connections, being in line to the throne, quite high up in the line of succession still. But basically, they just turned around and said, no, you can demand as much as you like. We are not giving in. So I think I'm going to give a red thumb flap for that. Standing and sticking by your rights and your freedoms and everything that goes with that. I don't think it's right to just demand it. They could have asked for it. I mean, they could have sent a nicely worded letter saying, look, we would like to review some of the footage that was taken of us. We would like perhaps to pass that on to the police to see whether or not any wrongdoing had actually been committed. The police themselves could have contacted Batgrid to ask for this footage. Batgrid would have still have had the rights to say no, but I don't think just going in very heavy-handed, heavy-clawed, is not necessarily always the right way to get what you want. Sometimes you have to be a little bit nice, and I don't think Harry and Meghan were in the mood to be nice. I'm still of my opinion from the previous video that this is just completely blown up. I think Harry and Meghan should have just continued on their way, even if they had people following them. But what kind of perplexes me is there are so many ways. In fact, I watched Whoopi Goldberg talking on The View. I saw a clip of it online saying that, New Yorkers are used to this all the time. It's no big deal. Taylor Swift can move through New York quite freely and deals with the paparazzi and the press. Why didn't Harry and Meghan stay at a hotel where they could go underground and get in and out quite safely? It seems like they were staying with friends, which of course they are entitled to do. But, if you're leaving a high-profile event, the likelihood is that you're going to have paparazzi following you. They would have known this. So rather than preempting the inevitable and just staying in a hotel, they chose, again, it's all about choices, to continue perhaps staying with a friend. So if you didn't want the paparazzi to know, then, just book a hotel, go underground, get in and out as freely as you can. Anyway, I digress. The main thrust of this, obviously, is that Harry and Meghan are trying to gather evidence. Perhaps they want to press charges. Perhaps they want to take more legal action. Perhaps Harry will rack up even more legal cases at any one time. I think he's up to 6. So maybe he'll get 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. Maybe he revels in maybe in this sort of newfound freedom of where he feels that he can just go to town when it comes to legal action. Maybe it's just kind of gone to his head and he's just thinking, I can do this for anything and everything. And he's not really looking at the implications of, he's already annoyed the British media who, have not backed down since he's gone to America. They haven't backed down. It hasn't calmed anything down, him removing himself from royal duties. Far from it. It's, caused even more media attention. So if he annoys what I assume is the American media, the US press, he's not going to have any media on his side whatsoever. And it's all right having supporters online, die-hard supporters, die-hard fans, if you like, who will support anything and everything that you do, regardless, almost unconditionally support you. But that doesn't translate into the wider world. You still have to have the majority of, the public or the media on your side. And I feel like they are pressing too hard back. And it already is, but I think it will hit them even more in the face. It'll just smack them around the chops. It already is. It's like someone's got a fish and they're waving it in their face. It's backfiring. Everything is backfiring. And this kind of rebranding of Meghan 2.0. Meghan 2.0 looks very much like Meghan Meghan Day Dot. She's always been the same. I don't really see anything different with this Meghan 2.0 other than she's desperately trying to get work. And I think this shenanigan has just, any chance she had of sort of, raising her profile through the awards has just been overshadowed by this. And I think this predominantly has probably been driven by Harry with the whole car chase thing. They could have just gone on their way, probably been back to whoever they were staying with within 10, 15, 20 minutes, moving through New York. I mean, even Whoopi Goldberg said there's no way you can have chase. You can have people follow you, of course you can, but there's no way that it was a chase unless the person in front, i.e. Harry and Meghan, were driving dangerously, or rather their people were driving dangerously. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Right, next, Middleton parents, Catherine and Pippa's parents, Carol and Michael Middleton, of course, have sold their business Party Pieces. Now, Party Pieces is the business that made them millions. Of course, they were inspired when they couldn't find any sort of party pieces really for their children's parties when they were younger. So they started this business that brought together everything that you would need for a party of all sorts of different parties under one umbrella, and then obviously online, and it made them millions. But over the past year, over the past couple of years during the pandemic, when there wasn't the amount of parties and things, the business got into a bit of difficulty, like many businesses all over the world. They launched it in 1987, and it's now been acquired after going into difficulty, debt actually, acquired by British entrepreneur James Sinclair following a period of financial uncertainty. Sinclair is based in Essex in the UK and owns other businesses like Rossi Ice Cream. I've never had that. Marsh Farm Adventure Park and Twizzletops Nurseries. I've never experienced any of those, but he must be quite wealthy. He confirmed the news on Instagram. So yes, in 2021, reports emerged that Party Pieces had experienced a significant financial loss of over £250,000, which, considering they're worth millions, it's a loss, but it's not a great loss. I think what we're looking at really is that the Middletons wanted out, and I think they saw this as an opportunity to get out, to cut their losses and run. And of course, they've made millions, so a £250,000 loss isn't actually a great loss. So whereas people might be thinking it's a great tragedy, it's not. They've already made their money. They haven't lost their houses or anything. They've just sold the business as an ongoing concern that has losses, and someone's obviously been willing to take that on. So despite this, the business insisted that the losses had been anticipated, and they launched a retail partnership in the US. So Party Pieces coming to you. It's very exciting to see our Party Pieces collection expanding into the US, starting with Seika ShopRite's, a leading retailer in New Jersey. There you go. So Party Pieces does have a future. So yeah, they lost some financial backers as well, that all led to the, I think, just decision to cut their losses and run. And I think that's what we're looking at. What is next for Carol and Michael Middleton? A lot of people ask, will they get a peerage? Will, for example, Michael Middleton be made an earl? Which would then obviously mean that Carol would become a countess, very much in the way that Edward and Sophie were before being given the dukedom of Edinburgh. I don't think this will happen under Charles. I think what we will see is, now that William and Catherine are Prince and Princess of Wales, they will be involved more in royal life. We saw it at the coronation. The Middletons were involved at the coronation itself and all of the events thereafter. So the Middletons are definitely up there. They will be involved and centered within the royal life. And that will only increase as William and Catherine's importance grows nearer. I think the major change may come when William is king. I don't think we'll see any change under Charles. I don't think. There's still a chance, but I don't think so. I think what's more likely to happen is perhaps a knighthood under Charles. But I think any peerage that could be given would be under William. By that point, I don't think people are going to really resent the Middletons having a peerage of any sort, purely because they've remained quite tight-lipped. Apart from Uncle Gary, there's always one. Uncle Gary always goes off, but the parents and the brother James, they've always been very respectful of the royal family, and they know when to keep this zipped. Right, the next story. Sarah Ferguson has been at it again. She is a massive entrepreneur. She's always been fairly, business-based ever since she divorced Andrew. And she has now launched a podcast, some might say following in the footsteps of Meghan. But of course, Sarah is even less royal, if you like, than Meghan. Of course, Meghan is still married to a current prince, an HRH, and Meghan is still a duchess, and still technically an HRH. Sarah lost her HRH in the divorce. She's not actually the Duchess of York. She's Sarah, Duchess of York, being used as a surname rather than a main title. So she is free to do as she wants, and she has been for years. And she's decided to launch a podcast. On her social media, she put, "It's about time we spilled the tea." This was, of course, last week. Our brand new podcast, Tea Talks with the Duchess and Sarah, is out next week on all streaming platforms. Subscribe now at the link in my bio. And there's a beautiful photo of Sarah and the Duchess. Of course, both names are Sarah. So I think there is nothing off limits. Candid conversations in which the two Sarahs spill the tea on the roller coaster life. With a cup of tea in hand each week, you'll hear about the week's hot topics as the hosts share their thoughts, perspectives on everyday issues. The duo will also be joined by special guests and share a personal insights to listeners' dilemmas. So like a problem, agony aunts, that's what they're going to be. So yes, I can't wait for this. In fact, it might already be out. I haven't checked today. This was, of course, last week. So I'm going to give Sarah a red hot fan. I don't think she'll be spilling the tea too much on royal life, although we are talking about Sarah, so we may get a few snippets coming out there. And of course, she has spoken openly about her relationship with her ex-husband, who, of course, she still continues to live with. Do I think this is a good idea? Yes, but it opens up the problem of her putting her foot in her mouth. This is what I mean about choices. The more silent you stay, the less chance you have of causing a drama. So her show is going to be picked over week by week, and anything that can be picked up on or taken out of context, I'm sure will be by the media. So I think she's got to be careful. I would engage brain before mouth first. Of course, being a podcast, this can be edited, so I'm sure she'll probably, in the main recording, just say what she wants, and then probably it will be edited down, I would imagine. And I would just like to say, I was the first person to ever do a podcast on the royal family before podcast was even a thing. My talk show, my weekly talk show, Talk of the Crown, I did 5 years ago, before any podcasts were even sort of a thing, but certainly before royal podcasts were a thing. So I like to think somewhere in my mind that I started all of this. But yes, I would love to go on. Sarah, if you want me to be a guest, I will go on and I will be a guest. But I can't wait to listen to this. I'm sure there'll be lots of interesting topics. And who knows, we might even get to see Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie on there, maybe spilling a little bit of tea. But yes, Tea Talks, I can't wait to listen to that one and find out exactly what's going on. But I think a lot of people would like to know the long-term sort of future of Sarah and, of course, Andrew, her ex-husband. I still think, in my own little mind, that they would be better off remarrying. It would negate, I suppose, the fact that she has to do lots of things for work. But that all, of course, pertains to whether or not Andrew could be rehabilitated into the royal family. I do still think that he's better being kept close to the fold rather than cast adrift. We know what happens when royal family members are cast adrift, and I don't think that would be good for Andrew to be cast adrift. So I think keeping him close, I think starting with giving him a role maybe within the estates, managing them, managing some of the royal homes, including him as they did, for example, at the coronation and family events, would get him seen. And I think he needs to start doing some charity work off his own bat with obviously nothing in return. He just needs to get out there and do something, maybe even start a charitable foundation of his own, really get stuck in there. But I do think remarrying Sarah would help that. It would show that although he's going back on old ground, it would show that he's trying to start afresh. And I think that would help, especially if Sarah, who of course is very charismatic, goes with him on engagements and, they actually start to work together, if you like, as a duo. I think that could possibly help. But I don't know. I think Sarah likes earning her own money, and why shouldn't she? I think she's quite happy with the way things are relationship wise with Andrew. I think really the only person that's going to gain out of a remarriage is, of course, Sarah wouldn't have to hustle from her side. But I think the main beneficiary would actually be Andrew in terms of trying or attempting to rehabilitate his reputation. Is that even possible? Let me know in the comment section what you think. Right, thank you for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, then please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and of course do hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. So from me in Shropshire, to you all, and goodbye.